remember that magical, grand, orchestral music that played right before a Barbie movie started? The immediate sense that you were about to be transported into a whole new world? Many of us in this room grew up watching these 3D animated Barbie movies on VH tapes or DVDs. They were staple parts of our childhood for viewing. But what we rarely realize when looking back is that we were actually absorbing high-level classical art, not just watching simple children's cartoons. As college students, we absolutely love early 20s nostalgia. We make memes about it, we play the soundtracks for fun, but looking back at these movies today through an adult lens lets us truly appreciate the hidden artistic value we subconsciously absorbed as kids. Personally, as someone who absolutely loves singing and listening to music, diving deep into this complex musical arrangement and creative choices made me realize just how incredibly ahead of their time these movies truly were. Early Barbie movies did something revolutionary for children's media. They seamlessly blended timeless classical masterpieces, authentic professional ballet choreography, and amazing storytelling to elevate what could have been a basic commercial. Today, I want to take you through three key elements that made this era so unique. First, the legendary classical scores they utilized. Second, how they brought real professional ballet to life on screen. And finally, the lasting cultural and educational impact it left on our generation. Let's begin by looking at the music. Instead of just producing cheap, repetitive pop songs or basic synthesized tracks to save money, Metal made a massive high-budget creative decision. They chose to collaborate with world-class musicians. In fact, they literally hired the London Symphony Orchestra to record the background music for these movies. Think about that for a second. One of the most prestigious orchestras in the entire world was in a studio recording the score for a movie about a plastic fashion doll. Furthermore, the plots of these early films weren't just random adventures. They were actually built entirely around legendary classical composers and their structures. For instance, Barbie in the Nutcracker used Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky's famous 1892 ballet score to tell its story, letting the music drive the emotional stakes of Clara's journey. In Barbie as Rapunzel, the filmmakers heavily features Antonin Dvorak's Symphony No. 9, utilizing its sweeping, dramatic movement to represent Rapunzel's yearning for freedom and artistic expression. By making these deliberate choices, the music wasn't just background noise. It was used to teach us how to connect deep, complex human emotions with orchestral melodies, all without us even realizing we were getting a classical music education. But the artistry didn't stop with the audio. The visual movement in these films was equally grounded in high art through the integration of professional ballet and early motion capture technology. When you watch films like Barbie or Swan Lake, the dancing you see on screen isn't just a basic animated rough guess of what ballet looks like. Every single grand GT, pirouette, and arabesque was performed by real elite professionals. Mattel brought in Peter Martins, who was the actual editor-in-chief of the New York City Ballet, to serve as the choreographer for these films. To translate these complex human movements onto a digital character in the early 20s, which was a huge, incredibly expensive technological undertaking at the time, they used advanced motion capture technology. Professional prime ballerinas wore specialized sensor suits so that every single intricate turn, shift in weight, and jump was completely accurate, elegant, and graceful on screen. This groundbreaking process basically brought genuine, theater-level artistry straight into the living rooms of everyday households entirely for free. This brings me to my final point, the profound educational and cultural impact these movies had on young audience. What I love most about this era of Barbie films is that they completely democratized high art. Historically, attending elite ballet performances and live classical concerts can be incredibly expensive, often isolating these art forms to privileged spaces. Barbie took that elite art and made it accessible to every single kid, regardless of their socio-economic background, right from their living room television. Because of its accessibility, it gave our generation a subconscious appreciation for classical music. Many of us recognize famous symphonies or classical melodies later in life, whether in music class, a movie trailer, or a concert, solely because we heard them in a Barbie movie first. Ultimately, this era proved to the media industry that children's entertainment did not need to be dumbed down. Media aimed at young children could be highly artistic, educationally rich, and commercially successful all at the same time. To wrap everything up, it is incredibly clear that Barbie's early cinematic universe was built on a deliberate foundation of serious artistry. We just look at how these movies utilize world-class orchestral scores from legendary composers, translated authentic ballet movements onto our screens using cutting-edge technology, and left a beautiful educational legacy that still resonates with our generation today. Barbie was always much more than just a plastic doll meant to sell toys. Back then, she served as an unexpected, brilliant ambassador for classical art. So, the next time you happen to hear a Tchaikovsky symphony or catch a glimpse of a professional ballet performance, you might just find yourself smiling, remembering the pink doll who first taught us how to appreciate the classics. Thank you.